Hello, welcome to Prequel, Sequel, Requel, the show where we pick a film and give it a prequel, a sequel, and a requel. With me, as always, Dom Hodgson, Noel Curran.
Hello.
Myself, Chris Lumb, Tom King.
Hey.
Eddie French.
Hello.
Tonight, we are taking on the Goonies.
Oh.
Never say die.
Hey, you guys! And all that.
Da, da, da.
Truffle shuffle.
Establish the law. Sequel. Then give us some more. Prequel. Not the same as before. Prequel, sequel, requel.
From the imagination of Steven Spielberg, The Goonies plunges a band of small heroes into a swashbuckling, surprise around every corner quest beyond their wildest dreams. Following a mysterious treasure map into a spectacular underground realm of twisting passages, outrageous booby traps, and a long-lost pirate ship full of golden doubloons, the kids race to stay one step ahead of a family of bumbling bad guys and a mild-mannered monster with a face only a mother could love. A family adventure classic from start to buccaneering finish, The Goonies is a cinematic treasure trove of breathtaking action, dazzling effects, and shiver your timbers thrills. Right then, so let's start with the prequels. Who would like to go? Let's start with Tom this time. Have you got something for us?
Okay. So my prequel would be about the actual Fratellis themselves.
Oh yeah,
and just sort of like, but like a really gritty crime drama. But obviously with them being bumbling shits, you know, completely throughout it, and and also like, you know, I want to see like horrific, like black and white sort of jump backs in time where you find out how she dropped Sloth, how many times she dropped him for his eye to have actually moved several inches down his face. I mean, to have dropped a baby that much that
the socket has actually lowered in the skull.
The actual shape and formation of his skull has changed without him dying.
One skull fracture. It's
no. I mean that's
several repeated.
Yeah, I mean that's several. I mean that's like you know, basically getting a Lego set of the Death Star and it coming out oblong. That's how fucking bad that is.
There's some specific effort and thinking being put into that level of malicious violence.
That's it. And why is it only? I mean, obviously she's not dropped either of the other two because Christ Almighty. I mean, Joe Pantoliano's not exactly much of a looker, but his face is completely normal.
It looks like that's a face.
Yeah, it looks
like a human face.
Yeah, it looks like a human face. And the other guy, he's Robert obviously, Devi. You know, who?
Robert Devi.
Robert Devi, you know, classic villain from many films.
It does look like he's been dragged along a
He
bit.
does look dragged along by a bit, but you can't say that he's not. He's not like a. He's got a classic sort of Hollywood villain face, hasn't he? I mean, he doesn't.
He's got very strong and deliberate features.
Yeah. He's got a jawline and a chin. He's not got fucking. You know, he's not got wiggly ears that are, you know, a complete and utter. Different.
Was this not a long-term plan by the mother? Right. I'll make one look as scary as fuck, and then I can use that within the crime plot.
I can use that to just leave in a cave.
How does it end, or is it just?
Oh, it ends with the car chase.
Oh right, so it goes straight into it. All right,
very good.
Nice. Okay. And have you got a title? Just.
I'm just going to call it the Fratellis.
And use the same font as the Goonies.
Who are you going to get to do the soundtrack?
To do the soundtrack, I think probably Feeder.
Yeah. That's good. I like that first album.
Very good. Okay. Excellent. Eddie, what have you got for us?
Not too dissimilar, I got to say. I too focused on the Fratellis. We opened some 30 years before the events of the Goonies. Ma Fratelli is sweaty of face, having just nearly died delivering Sloth.
Right.
Now you see, in this one, I'm retconning it so that Sloth was delivered as seen, rather than the dropping and what have you. Because I think they start telling that story because she doesn't want to admit that after the first two kids. Third one, she was just something had gone through.
Kid. He's Sloth the
I
youngest.
believe he's the youngest.
Right, I was going to say, because like obviously, you know, the first two have come out normal.
Yeah, they've come out.
And then, I mean, what's happened to her vag canal to create Sloth's face looking like that?
I don't know. We don't go into it, but you see,
maybe it's slanted in his face. Like.
Well, basically, yeah. So there's everyone around there. Pa Fratelli's obviously there, and there's the two little children, the older brothers.
It's Christmas Day.
Maybe it's Christmas Day. Sure, why not? Sounds cute.
A child was born on Christmas Day.
Comes to pass when a child is. So the family are around. The midwife shows them they're all sick. And so it's a bit like... the first sort of bit is a bit like a cross between Rosemary's Baby and the origin story of the Penguin in Batman Returns.
It worked.
With some eraser heads just thrown into the mix, just because, right? So, but soon it's sort of made quite clear that little baby sloth, who's often just depicted as like a crawling sort of Hessian sack because he's so hideous, it's actually got it up here, super smart, super smart, and sort of realised that he's actually the one who's manipulating the family into a life of crime. So he's sort of Svengaliing the whole thing. Absolutely. Spoilers. Oh no, but you're not allowed to watch his films anymore because he's a naughty man. Don't watch him. He's Kaiser Soze. Bad spacing. Now, what happens is we actually finish. And
allegedly. Oh no.
No,
No, you should tell the ending of all the Kevin Spacey's movies.
Yeah.
Don't want to watch them anymore.
It's a good idea. Separate show.
It's Kaiser Soze.
The end of space, they would call it.
It's Kaiser Soze's head in a box. So that's what he does when he walks properly. But
he's a ghost.
he's Luke Skywalker's father.
He is a sledge.
He is a sledge. Yeah.
He's people.
Space.
Is that the?
No, because it wraps up basically. He overhears them sort of talking. They start keeping him in chained up and all this kind of thing. But because he's got that ability to manipulate them. By just saying words like "Hey, you guys,"
or "Baby Ruth."
Baby Ruth, yeah. He pretends his lexicon. Basically, when they're not there, he monologues to himself like Frasier.
Right.
Just clear, enunciated poetry. Yeah. Oh, it's just absolutely wonderful. Then as soon as they're there, "Hey, you guys," that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he manipulates them into attempting that bank heist where they get. But he phones in to the police to let them know that they're there. So he tries to shop his own family. They fail to catch him, and that's what sends the action in the film Goonies off. So he's the reason that they go there to that bank. Is it a bank at the beginning?
It's a jail where they free the guy.
Oh, the jail. Oh, right.
You'd have to. Your bank bit could be earlier, don't worry. Then they go to the jail to get him out. It works.
You were obviously gripped by this film.
It is the
that building they were in at the start.
The architecture on that.
Well,
Interestingly enough, it is an actual bank. That building.
Is it?
I don't know.
It would have made me feel a lot better if it was.
Well, let's say.
All right, well, thank you.
And they just made it like a jail. Yeah.
So basically, Sloth is actually a secret genius.
A savant.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Very good. Okay. Right, let's move on. Who wants to go? Dom, go for you.
Sure.
What's your story about the Fratellis?
It's not.
Oh, it's not.
No.
Right.
Mainly because did not enjoy this film.
Not for you.
Not for me. This was my first watching of this film. I didn't grow up with it.
I didn't grow up with it either, and I have to say it is a bit much if you don't have any sentimental attachment to it.
Yeah.
Given as it is largely shouting.
There was a lot of playing on my phone whilst watching this film, so I may have missed some of the plot points.
We'll fill it in for you, don't worry.
I thought there was a bank. Don't worry yourself.
But thanks to Wikipedia, I got all the information. So, Willie the Pirate has spent years plundering the seas with his ship, the Inferno.
Oh.
How many eyes does he have at this point?
Two.
Two.
Okay, right.
Loses one on the adventure.
It's obviously a knob joke, isn't it? I mean, it is, but because they don't call them Willies in America, so it's so funny for us British people.
Penis the pirate.
One-eyed Willie is like.
They've been plundering for years, right? They're about to have some shore leave. They pull
Imagine that being plundered by a Willie.
They pull up to Astoria.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And he's there. He's going to let Barry the cabin boy park it. Because,
an original character.
Yeah, you've got to do.
He's going to park the boat.
He's going to park the boat, right? What happens, right? He only fucking parallel parks in the cave, doesn't he? Shit. So this film...
And they only paid for outside parking as well, so does it get clamped? That way it's still in there?
the entrance has got narrower. So you've got to follow Willie and his pirates as they try and blend in with the local townsfolk whilst buying the supplies to try and get the ship out. So they go get like loads of grease to get it out, or loads of wood to try and drop out.
Hello, we're here in Astoria to buy all your butter.
I'm just going to step in here, and you said you wanted us to fill in like plot points.
I didn't say that. No.
Assuming there was a plot.
So there's a trailer scene where there's the cabin boy Barry, obviously, goes, Captain Willie, I've got a plan of how we can get the ship out. And the captain goes, oh yeah, how? And he holds up a glass bottle and he goes, why don't we just put it in there and then we can carry it out? Laughs.
Lols. Many lols.
As you can see.
The title is Free Willy.
Hey.
Okay.
I like it. Yeah, it's good.
I will say that
you just drew a line straight through that.
I will say that out of the three things we are going to talk about tonight, this is the one I put the most effort into.
Right. So we're on a downward spiral.
No, we're not on a downward spiral. We are crashing. We are straight down.
Yeah, right. Okay. Right. Okay. Let's. Noel, what have you got for us?
Sure. Well, I've gone for Willie as well. So
fuck's sake.
Well, I haven't gone for Willie, so let's see.
Have you gone for Fratellis?
Markedly different.
Oh, right.
Because I was fascinated by how he was able to make all these really ingenious traps that seemed way advanced for 16th century pirates.
Sure.
So I figured he must have gone to university and done mechanical engineering or something like that there.
Right.
So this is One-Eyed Willie, the college years.
Oh.
So it's like a wacky 80s. Get a young Paul Rudd to play One-Eyed Willie.
Is Screech also there?
Yes. Lots of people who
Screech.
vaguely recognised from Saturday Night Live who
Oh,
were
right,
big on it.
He studied Da
Shores
Vinci's
in it.
inventions, hasn't he?
Hey?
He studied Da Vinci's inventions, basically.
Yes, and they're getting into all sorts of scrapes with the dean.
I can see it already.
Pirate House!
Yeah. That's
And,
good. That.
yes, because their house is under threat. And they would have lots of sex with lots of girls, but there are no girls there because it's 16th century.
Yeah, of course. No.
Girls aren't allowed to be educated.
They don't have the capacity for education at this point in history, correct?
Which, given the amount of syphilis that's about, is probably just as well. But he does end up, in order to foil the dean in this big end sequence, make this amazing Heath Robinson type gadget with cannonballs and stuff going around it. But it goes slightly wrong at the end and takes one of his eyes out.
Wow. Okay.
Pride come before a fall, etc. Real nice.
Very good.
The phrase "aye aye, Captain" was never mentioned on that.
Yeah, so
I can only agree with him once.
Bit of a college comedy. Very good. Okay, well, I've got. I went a different way altogether with this. I picked a character that wasn't really seen that much. I picked Mr. Walsh out of the film. Mikey and Bran's dad.
Yeah.
And do you know the bit where Mouth's on about all the stuff to the Rosalita, the maid? He says, the cocaine, separate the cocaine and that. Sarah, it's actually all true. This is a prequel where you find out about delves into the deep crimes of Mr. Walsh, from his drug dealing to his sexual torture devices. He's one badass who takes us on a seedy tour of Astoria. He then settles down as a museum creator, putting his life of crime behind him. So in a different way.
But he didn't even put aside any money to avoid the whole damn plot.
No, it's a bit like, you know...
He's a drug dealer with no financial...
Not anymore. He used to be like king of the story, and then he got too deep.
Right.
You know.
So obviously, at some point, like Mouth's found out about this, and rather than Mr. Walsh killing him, he's brought him into the fold.
Mouth,
Well, Mouth, rather than going to the police, he's just decided to translate it into Spanish.
Yeah,
sort of a little
maybe that were his cry for help to Rosalita. Maybe he was like, I've got to tell you about this. They've got me under. It's my one chance. I speak Spanish, and Mr. Walsh don't.
That film could have gone a completely different way.
It didn't though.
Yeah,
it went the worst way. I just called it "Call Me Mr. Walsh." Bit of a dark title. call me Mr.
Is that a reference to Data saying you call him Dr. Jones,
No.
lady? Was that in this one?
My original
remember.
prequel actually was a crossover with Temple of Doom and Goonies, the middle film, but I couldn't make the ages work.
No.
Do you know what? That is the biggest plot hole.
Temple of Doom was 1935. I thought, you can't be 62 in the Goonies.
Was it just going to be just Short Round having various gadgets shoot out of his trousers at any given moment?
Right, let's move on to the sequels.
Yes.
Okay, it's sequel time. So who did we start with last time? Let's go back the other way this time. Let's go Noel first.
Sure. I've got one called The Goonies Squad, and it's focusing just on Chunk and Sloth. Because apparently there's a novelisation of the original book, and it is canon that Sloth gets adopted by Chunk's family.
It's canon,
It's canon.
In the Goonies universe.
He probably manipulates them with his supreme intelligence. That makes sense, yeah.
So it's when they're much older, and they've set up a detective agency.
Nice.
So they
Like
kinda
you already.
go around solving crimes. It's kind of good. Well, it's not so much good cop, bad cop as good cop, mad cop.
Yeah, right.
Which one's the good cop?
Sloth. So I thought John Candy as a grown-up Chunk
Nice.
with Andre the Giant.
Yeah,
a
I'm
grown-up.
sold. I'm
Yeah.
I bought a ticket.
It's got John Candy in it. You're going to love it, man.
Yeah.
And they have they're after the rich guy from the first movie. He's trying to buy all the water supply.
Troy's
in
dad.
Town.
Mr. Perkins, Mr. Perkins.
Troy's dead, and it goes quite dark at the end because he murders Sloth, but gets away with it, and there's nothing Chunk can do about it. And there's one of the cops just goes, "Forget it, Chunk. It's Goonie Town."
It's Goondocks, yeah.
Nice, okay.
Yes, at one
It's the
point,
Goondocks,
they try to get John Candy to do the truffle shuffle, but he gives a very long, earnest speech about fat shaming.
Yeah,
going on.
good.
It's all wrong.
That's what's needed.
But it being John Candy, does he do that and then turn
does
around
it
and his
anyway.
face falls in a cut?
It goes undercut.
Oh, there was, where there's a thing here, look. There's a warning up back at DVD, just when you said that about fat shaming, contains hanging scene. It just says that on the back. It's like, they put it as if it's like a bonus feature. Hey! Contains,
Only on the Blu-ray.
contains hanging scene.
I love it.
It
Oh,
does
they've got
sound
a scene
that.
in Lynch Vision.
So obviously that got it a 12 certificate in the UK.
I don't think it did. I think because 12 certificates didn't exist when that film came out. I think it was a PG.
Oh,
It will have
It's
been a
been
PG,
It's
but-
got
It
it
did
12
get
now.
cut when it was shown on British TV. They cut
But
that
pretty
one
much the first thing that Chunk says is the word shit really loudly as he rubs a burger and a milkshake.
You see,
over some
it says on
windows.
there as well, full length version, which means they've recut, like you say, they were cut for
Which
TV.
shows you all of the hanging
Yeah.
bits.
You're actually right. You're
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
right.
yeah,
They
yeah.
cut bits out of it. Yeah. And then you've got the octopus scene on the deleted scenes that he mentions
Oh
in the
yeah,
film.
which they
But that's
talk
true.
about at the
Yeah.
end. Go,
Yeah.
when we
Yeah.
fought the octopus.
And you think
Yeah.
he's lying, but there's a
Octopus.
scene.
You lying little twat. Look,
Yeah,
like
the
the
deleted
story
scene.
wasn't fantastic enough, they had to make up an octopus as well.
Yeah, it was cut out because the special effects were terrible.
Yeah.
No, really.
Yeah. Right.
As
So
opposed to the rest of the film.
it's a classic.
It doesn't look too bad.
No, there's nothing wrong with
Let's
it.
move on.
Alright.
Let's move on
It's
to Dom.
consistent, if
Sequel.
nothing else.
Sequel,
It's
please, Dom.
Well,
Yeah.
again, it's a long one, so I've got to read it off my phone. Okay, so it's called The Roomies.
Oh, okay.
Goonies Roomies. The film begins with four friends, Steph, Data, Mikey and Andy, sitting in their local Starbucks, discussing Steph's date for the evening. Chunk soon arrives at the coffee house looking miserable. It is revealed that his ex-wife Carol has moved his things out of the apartment due to the fact that she is a lesbian. Mikey unhelpfully suggests that Chunk take advantage of the fact that she's now single by going to strip joints, and an exasperated Chunk cries, "I don't want to be single. I just want to be married." As soon as Chunk says this, a woman enters the coffee house wearing a wedding dress, causing Data to remark on the irony of it. "I just want $1 million. It turns out the woman is Rachel Green and was Steph's best friend in high school. She arrived to ask Andy for help, as she just left her fiancé at the altar, realising she does not love him.
I just want to point out to anyone watching this was recorded the week that Friends was put on Netflix. And as such, after watching a film which he didn't care for, Goonies, Dom has
I was
gone.
watching it on
I'm
my phone at the same
gonna get Netflix on. Friends, do you know what? Click. Oh, that is a good plot. Is that roughly what happened?
Your start though got us enthralled. I thought.
I know. I was wondering at what point you'd already.
A little bit with the wedding. Yeah,
I thought it sounded like a sitcom, and then
I think when you mentioned the name Rachel Green, I think that's where I tweeted. Oh, I've heard that somewhere.
If I hadn't put Rachel Green,
We still maybe it'd have been a bit more.
But do you know what? I think as far as setting up a story goes, so strong was it, as Friends proved.
yes.
That's what we would refer
If
to.
it worked once, it'll work
yeah.
again.
Exactly. Then you can.
So the roomies, there we go.
Very good. Roomies. Right, I'll go next, I guess.
I'll be there for
Well,
Goonies.
but see, the thing is that I did originally write a full plot about how they were all at college, and they were college roommates, and there was something going on, and the older brother got held back a year or two, and that's why he was in the same dorm room as them.
Right.
But then I thought, fuck it, I'll just rip off Friends.
Is the theme song "I'll Be There for Goon"?
No. It's Bieber again.
No, it's just I'll be there for you. Yeah, just use the same.
All right. Not even change that. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Right. My sequel is Chunk and Sloth run a successful ice cream parlour.
Oh.
Years later, so they've grown
Nice.
up.
What's the ice cream parlour called?
It's called Chunk and Sloth's Ice Cream Parlour. It's called Chunky Sloths.
That's exactly what you want to have for an ice cream.
Sorry, I thought that might have been a fun question to ask.
No,
Turns out I was very, very wrong.
You're wrong.
I was wrong.
And all the original Goonies have had kids. Well, not all of them, but some of them had kids. So Brandon Andy had a girl called Brandy. Mikey didn't have any. Data's kids are called Blip and Blop. Just because I thought it sounded like.
Sounded computer.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't question my method. Blip and Blop.
Not
They
one
should
and
probably do
zero.
some shit like that.
Binary children.
Yeah. And Mouth and Steph's got one called Teeth. And basically, all the kids are playing in the basement of the ice cream parlour. They're all playing in the basement of the ice cream parlour. They stumble across a secret passageway, which leads to undead pirates who kidnap them. So they go on another adventure. The original Goonies have to re-team and save the day.
It's Goonie time.
Yeah, so they've all got to oh no, I can't do it, I'm too old, and but our kids and all that. And
I'm too
Mikey's
old
like,
for this shit.
yeah, that kind of. So they all have to get back together and bond and go down, save them all.
Has Mouth lost a lot of weight and just has to eat lots of the ice cream to get big again so he can be
Do you mean Chunk?
chunk? Yeah. No, does Mouth eat loads?
Mouth don't eat any
Does
ice
he not?
cream. No, he's not bothered.
Has Mouth got any new impressions? Has he got some new shtick?
Has he learned a new language? Is he the one that's with
He does, yeah.
There's a load of crossover jokes though with Gremlins and things again. So I like
fun,
a bit
yeah.
of that,
That's good.
you know. And loads of Warner
Where
Brothers
does
merchandising.
the Superman reference come in?
There's a Batman reference.
Oh, there's a Batman.
Just to switch it up a
But
bit.
Richard Donner didn't direct
I know.
Batman.
Well, he didn't direct this.
No. Did he not?
No, he didn't come back. He's like, I had enough of them kids.
Oh God, Christopher Nolan directed it.
Yeah,
Fuck
okay,
it.
did yeah.
Oh,
So it's got this amazing soundtrack that just goes with a Cyndi Lauper song.
Yeah.
Got this in the Roper song. Girls just want to have
Fun.
Yeah, so that's that.
Fun.
Goonies just want to have fun.
Fun.
Yeah, I called it Goonies
But they
too.
can't because of the patriarchy.
I love what you've done with it.
But
Yeah.
the patriarchy can't handle Lauper. So
Right, let's move
she'll bring
on.
him
Tom,
down.
what have you got for us? Other than the blank page.
Yeah, I've written the Goonies at the top of it.
got it.
Goonies.
At least Dom says read phone. Yours is
It's going to be good.
No, seriously. There's two bits to it.
All right.
So the first bit is.
While you think of the
No,
second bit.
seriously, no, I've already thought of it. Okay, so straight away, it starts basically the day after the Goonies ends.
Right, okay.
And what it is it's the start of a very long, protracted legal battle as to the saving of the Goondocks and all the other
Yeah.
Astoria homes,
Okay.
based on the fact that the jewels that they found, obviously you've got the laws which surround found treasure and who treasure trove and who owns it and all that kind of thing. So basically that's got to go off for the jewels have to go off to be verified as being real, and then so all of this basically so there's a huge long protracted legal battle that goes on, and so you've got all these court-based scenes and things like that. But then also it skips forward 30 years, right? Where all the original Goonies, after having fallen out after this sort of long protracted legal battle.
Is this anything like Sleepers?
No.
Okay, good. I was worried for a minute because
that's what Eddie's got written down.
No, it's not like that.
Thankfully, no.
No. So also what's happened is basically at the end of the Goonies you see the Inferno sail off and everything like that. But when that goes off, you see basically sunlight comes down, and a bit like yours, you've got the undead pirates. So the undead pirates, the sun reawake or some shit like that. I don't know. Some mystical bollocks.
I'm not making this up as I go along.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Yeah, that's it.
Because it started off like John Grisham.
Yeah, no, it's basically a cross between John Grisham and it.
Oh, okay, fine,
so
fine.
Basically,
Two of the biggest selling authors of all time, so that's going to,
Willie comes back to life,
and then Jack Ryan
and
comes in just to
finds that all his treasure is gone, and then goes to get the treasure back. And
Ron and Hermione.
And basically,
And they all live in an apartment next to each other, and they keep trying to cross.
No, they've all fallen out. They've all gone their separate ways, but they all have to go back to Astoria because the parents have all been killed by the undead pirates. And then
it's always the way, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. And then they basically, a bit like fucking it. What's it called?
It.
Yeah,
It's called it.
No,
there's a clown.
It's a bit like fucking
it's a bit like Pennywise the cunt clown.
Yeah.
They have to go and fight him, One-Eyed Willie, to stop all that shit. So basically, that's it.
It's good that.
Yeah, it's all right.
Right.
Match of it all.
Can you read it all again for us?
Verbatim, please.
Yeah. So basically,
Good God.
the start straight after the day after.
Mr. Tumnus, stop it at once.
Basically, Mikey's sat on a bench with a box of chocolates. And
Mom always said to me.
Do you know
Mama
what I really,
Fratelli sits down next to me.
really like these innocent products.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the colour of the drink is bringing out.
That's it.
Well, right, let's move on. Eddie, what have you got for us?
Well, mine follows on, if anything, follows on from sooner than Tom, because it follows. They're on the beach.
Oh.
And the Goonies are awarded one of 7 matching emeralds in all the bags. They go, oh, these emeralds are the same. Well, as a reward, each of you 7 kids that did good, you get one of these, a little momentum, and then the rest they use to save the Goondocks. That's all fine. Unfortunately, they're cursed.
Oh.
What are you going to do?
Of course they are.
So it's pirate treasure, and if stuff matches, 7 is also a very powerful magic number.
If this comes out with zombie pirates.
it doesn't come out with zombie pirates. Basically, death then stalks them. I mean, it's as if death is looking for a destination that they're finally reaching. It's like Final Destination.
Also, I get ripped for fucking ripping off it.
He's going to get ripped, don't worry.
Oh yeah, don't worry about it.
But Eddie wrote it down.
Fair enough.
I prepared this before I arrived. But the thing is, it's like Final Destination, but ironic. Okay, now it being a superb 80s film, each character has possibly 1.5 aspects to their personalities. Okay, and those are brilliant because those are how. Are you just writing down what you said so that you don't get told off? All right. So Mouth. Okay, Mouth, for example, he meets his end by being gagged and strangled by an impressionist who imitates Mouth as he dies. So that's what he does. Andy, who's popular, he's mobbed by people who want to be but it's spelt like a boy.
Right.
It's like I thought it'd be I-E.
Capital A.
No, but A-N-D-Y. But I was
Right.
I might no.
No,
On Wikipedia, yeah, because I went to double check all their stupid names because I don't care about them. It's a film about shouting. Come on, grow up. So Andy, who's popular, is mobbed by people who want to be her friend, and basically she's just trampled to death.
Right.
Just really quite sort of graphically. Steph dies from a combination of being overlooked at Andy's very well-attended funeral and being stabbed by a book called How to Loosen Up, because she is uptight and square.
Right.
Brand, who's the blandest of all the children, is decapitated by a slice of stale white bread, and no one notices for about a week. So Data actually has 2 personality facets in the fact that he's Asian and an inventor, sort of electrician. So he's strangled by a remote-controlled noodle of his own inventing, and it lunges out of his trousers and strangles him. Chunk is another two-personality aspect person because he's fat and Jewish. So he meets his fate while being smeared onto a giant bagel that he was going to eat.
Right.
Mikey suffers the worst fate because obviously he's earnest and single-minded. That's his thing. He actually endures a living death by being kept in a permanent conversation with Morrissey. But like modern-day Morrissey, not even 1988 Morrissey, which might have been at least a bit fun. Better tunes, you know. And then at the end, the 7 emeralds just sort of slowly roll together, and then they just sort of plop down to the beach and just go back into the cave, waiting to be found again. So
Any good?
I mean, I did write this directly after watching the film, and all the characters had irritated me so much. I just thought of ways that they should die. Maybe that's 2 pages worth, which is more than I've written for any of these things. So
Right.
So yeah, but that's
Good stuff.
So yeah, Final Destination with emeralds.
All right, let's move on. Right, okay, it's time for the requels. So, who did we have last time?
No.
Start with Dom.
Okay. All right. Obviously, didn't much care for the film.
We've said that already. Yeah, we know that now.
I'm setting expectations.
All right.
So
I think we should point out that if you watched it as a child, you probably really dug it, and if you waited till you were an adult, waited as if it was a choice, then it's not great.
So I was trying to think of what would make me interested in the film, and it took me a while to think. Replace all the kids with famous pensioner actors.
Right.
Right. Ooh. So I haven't linked to these, but the cast would be Maggie Smith.
Yes.
Yeah.
Judi Dench. Dame Judi Dench.
Yeah, of course.
Steph.
Mary Berry. I'm going to have her as a little bit of a thing. Julie Walters.
Oh, very good.
God, Julie.
So the only one I have assigned is Angela Lansbury. Got to bring her in as the ugly bloke.
So you're doing this as an all-female reboot?
Yeah. Right, but pensioners.
Pensioners, yeah.
Right,
Pensioner
okay.
reboot.
Yeah.
Betty
Mirren
White, Barbara Windsor, Helen Mirren is definitely in there. She's not written down, but you just mentioned it.
She's in there.
The only one that's not is The Rock, who plays the bad guy. Obviously,
Of course, yeah.
What about Celia Emery? She's often overlooked.
And she has been again.
Never mind.
I'll be honest. On my drive home from Sheffield, trying to work out who would be an old actress that I could put in. She wasn't on there, but she can be in the film. That's fine.
I'll let her know.
Yeah. So that I think that would at least.
Pique your interest to watch
their
it.
own stunts.
Well, it's quite hard to find a stunt coordinator who can play in for Dame Judi Dench.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, you say that, but do you remember Neighbours? Helen Daniels once took a tumble, and a guy in a wig took a place and rolled over on the pavement. You gotta watch it. It's obviously like this big buff stunt guy. She like goes, oh, and then it cuts to him just going.
An enormous bloke doing cartwheels down the stairs.
Yeah, so it's
Going,
possible.
Ow.
It's possible, is what we're saying.
Yeah.
So,
So
good.
I think that would make the film a bit more bearable for me.
Right.
The screaming wouldn't be so shrill.
It would at least have some BAFTA-nominated screaming. That's what you want.
Well, I'm gonna have to do mine now because before yours. Sorry,
go for it.
because mine is an all-female reboot.
Oh!
But it's basically it's just called The Girlies, and it's directed by Paul Feig. And it's a shot-for-shot remake of The Goonies, and he claims it's like brand new, but it's all the same. And just 92% screaming all the way through the film. That's it.
Not that you've got a chip on your shoulder or anything.
No, it's fine.
So what is your cast?
I don't care.
I'm not going to watch it.
No,
Can I just say, Chris, it was your idea to do this fucking film. Right.
I know, but yeah.
Dom and I have actually had to not enjoy ourselves.
I didn't realise how much people hated the film. I thought we love it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Right, you love it, and yet you wrote the road prequel on your piece of
I'd never. The fact is, I'd never reboot it because it's perfect.
Yeah, I find it.
As it is.
That's not the point of the show.
No, I'm similarly, swayed by that because I love the film and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Apart from obviously the fat shaming, some of the misogyny.
There are some racial representations that are a little bit dreadful.
So if I could have a shot-for-shot remake, but I would have obviously a much better special effects.
Right. Okay.
Plot.
So is this your
the plot's the plot's fine. I'd probably have bigger set pieces. And
I'd reinsert the deleted scene of the gorillas. Do you know about that one?
There's some gorillas.
Yeah, there were a gorilla car chase at the start that got cut out.
There was a gorilla car chase? You're talking.
It's on.
It was actually filmed by Michael Bay.
No, I'll put a link in the description.
Well, that's it. God. Michael Bay is directing mine.
I swear to God, there is a gorilla. You know the car chase with the Fratellis?
Yeah.
In the midst of that, there's a gorilla car chase going on.
What do you mean, gorilla?
The gorillas, two gorillas in a Troy sports
what,
car.
you mean the 90s pop bands?
No, I'm serious. I'll put the link at the bottom of the...
I'll tell you what,
actual gorillas or wearing gorilla masks?
People wearing gorilla suits.
In the plot, in the story, two gorillas
real
escape.
Gorillas.
Yeah. And then Troy is being a jerk to Brand on the bicycle. And then they stop and then the gorillas go, sweet ride.
No, it's earlier than that.
Oh, is it earlier?
Yeah.
So hang on, after that, so when he's sort of after Brand on the bike, that's after he's got his car back from some gorillas. That's how the character is being played.
If you look at his face, it's all in
playing that as if he's had to get his car back from gorillas.
Yeah. That's why he's such an arsehole.
All right, I get
He's had a bad day.
I thought changed the film?
I thought he was being like, you know.
Maybe that's why they cut it. They were like, these two.
You know how people in films are like sort of unnecessarily unreasonable, and you're like, that's just for effect. Apparently, he'd had to wrestle his guitar back off of two escaped gorillas. If anything, he was being quite.
What? You said guitar.
Did I?
Yeah. You got guitars on the mind.
I do, yeah. That's what I was playing while I was watching the thing. I was had a guitar.
Right, let's move on. Noel, it's your turn. We'll come back to Tom.
Okay, so we were talking about, you got the slight innuendo in there of One-Eyed Willie, but it's an American audience, so you're just like, was it an intentional innuendo or was it not? For my reboot, I'm doubling down, going, it's absolutely intentional innuendo. And we're going to make it carry on up the Goonies. And recast it with a classic, all grown up British cast. Sid James as the older brother.
Now you see what you've done there is you've made Chris have to eat his own words about a remake.
That's the only possible remake I would accept.
He's tailored that perfect for you,
yeah.
Mate. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, there's no point anybody else voting for this.
Maybe there could be two Goonie films coexisting with one with Carry On, go on, sorry.
But yeah, basically it's all about the cast. So you've got Hattie Jakes,
of course,
and I thought with the brothers could go for Kenneth Williams and Charles Hawtrey.
Yeah, I think I thought Hawtrey for the younger one.
Yes, obviously.
Yeah. And then Kenneth Williams. So Hawtrey knowing full well that he's quite fey and effete, but Williams absolutely certain that he's butch as fuck.
yes.
And him sort of singing opera every so often.
Who have you got a sloth? Bernard Breslau.
Yeah.
Bernard Breslau. That's what sold it for me. I was like, oh yeah.
I don't know. I'd love to see Babs have an audition for it. Might not cast her, but I think
Babs is in there. Yeah. They have.
You guys.
She's play Andy.
She's Andy. With Jewel. I'm going to forget her. June Whitfield.
Nice.
Nice.
So,
I like that.
And
Jim Dale in there?
Hey?
Jim Dale?
Oh, I haven't got Jim Dale.
Jim Dale
should be in there.
Throw him in. I'll tell you what I'd like to see, a carry-on film with all the main casting, so if you can sort that out for me, you're on a winner.
Yeah. I bet weirdly I've got Mickey Rooney as Data.
Oh,
right, yeah, because he's doing
the really off-colour, cross-racial
Breakfast at Tiffany's.
But lots of, lots of pirates.
Although, if you're going for a full British cast, he could go for Houston off, because he did... Charlie Chan.
Oh, that would work.
That
would work over that.
He'd do it as well.
My brother took a video of him. He was videoing himself at an airport for some reason, like he does.
How much nepotism is in your film that you want your brother to be in it?
No, Peter Ustinov is in the background. Obviously thinking that my brother is filming it just because he's there and looking annoyed. My brother had no idea he was there.
Was it like when Was it an airport just because of how Irish people have been treated in airports in the past? He was just proving I just don't want to get the shit kicked out of me. I'll just film myself as evidence.
So, but yeah, basically that's it. Lots of innuendo, lots of look at those jewels. My family jewels. Nice pearl necklace.
I didn't think doubloons could be that big. Oh, I had an idea.
Yeah. It's good. It writes itself. Obviously. It's a good job because nobody else will.
Have we given Tom enough time to think of his yet?
You've got plenty of time. Go on, Tom.
I've already said what mine were.
Stop reading that.
No, I've already said what mine were, which was just a better version of the Goonies.
Oh, right, okay.
Is that what your spot?
Yeah.
You want? You basically
I just
want.
said it earlier.
You want the special edition.
Yeah, no, I just basically
You want Goonies
I did
special
ask
edition.
if that was his.
that is it.
The modern day version of the Goonies is where it's just.
You did say, yeah.
Yeah.
Or you could do like the sequel to Jumanji and have it set in a fucking computer game or something. I don't know.
All right, don't get pissy.
It's upset because everybody's been treating Goonies.
No, it's fine. No, I do really, really like the film. I broke my pen. I really do like the film The Goonies. I just think it's really good, and I don't think you could reboot it.
You're allowed to.
I don't think.
Right, let's move on. Eddie, what have you got for us?
Here, I've decided. I've a little bit like Noel. I've decided that Britain is the place to go because if you have it, I think what you mean is if you had something with the Goonies, sort of the heart of the Goonies, but somewhere else, so it's not too much the same. Right? Basically, this version it's a bit Ken Loachy. It's set on a council estate in the northeast of England, sort of Newcastle in the 80s. Instead of focusing on sort of the houses getting knocked down, basically a local bully demands of this gang of friends at least 200 pages of porn. It's not web pages, by the way, you viewers. It's paper pages, old school, yeah.
Damp pages found in a hedge.
Or they're all, basically, they're having to scout woodland and scrubland, basically, yeah. Or they're getting proper decked, right? So obviously instead of the "Hey you guys," which is classic, it's "How are yous bastards?" That's what they all shout then. They hear tell of a big stash of grot on some local wasteland, and they got to find it, hoping that it's enough. They're like, "Oh, we need to find enough of this grot to save the bullies," right? So they take a shortcut and they oversee a low-level sort of hash deal going down, just a quarter or something like that, and they're pursued. But luckily, the inventor of the group, who's called Dieter, right? He produces one of his inventions, which is 2 knives. And he frightens off the drug dealers and they escape. He just cuts them a little bit, right? Yeah. They find all the grumble, but the naughty boys have followed them, and they just sort of go, "Oh, we'll have that, thank you." Stating, "Oh, well, this is ours. We found it. You still owe us 200 pages of porn. We're going to kick your head in, right?" Then the police arrive because the main guy is after the porn. Within the previous year, he stabbed a security guard when he was doing over a warehouse at night. And if someone who you stab or assault dies within the following year, that's you done for murder. So he gets taken to prison and is smacked about with some snooker balls and a sock. They all live northernly ever after.
Oh,
Yeah, right.
different?
Yeah, well, I felt that it captured the sort of that eternal childhood. You know what I mean? That feeling that you get when you watch Goonies, you've just got this, childhood lasts forever.
I'd rather watch that.
And then I think at some point Michael Caine kicks the shit out of one of the shafts. I think that's roughly it. But
cool.
Yeah. So
very good.
That's what I think.
That's everybody in it. Right, we'll go to our roundup. Okay, it's time for the recaps, and let's pick our favourites. So let's start at the end of the table. Don, what? Your prequel.
Prequel, Free Willy the pirate, parallel parking, stuck in a cave, has to get all the stuff from the town.
Mm-hmm.
So, some shopping.
Yeah.
Right, okay, good.
With hilarious consequences.
Good. The
No.
best kind.
Again, One-Eyed Willy, the early years, the college years.
College years.
Oh, yeah,
Seas,
college
Comedy
years.
Keeper.
Pirate House.
Yep. Mine was Mr. Walsh, sexual torture devices and drug dealing days.
Yeah,
You
mine.
can't remember what yours was.
Fratelli table,
Mine was
wasn't it?
the Fratellis. Yeah, it was about the Fratellis and the
dropping
that's
dropping
right.
sloth.
Dropping junk.
Gritty crime drama.
Yeah.
About them.
Yeah, I do.
Mine was also about the Fratellis, but it was about Sloth being a secret Machiavellian genius who was born, and then it finishes up with the jailbreak, which leads into Goonies, which he's set up.
Right, what do we think?
Well, definitely not mine.
I'm liking Mr. Walsh and the Sloth as the evil genius. I'm not sure.
John, what do you think?
You're
I
allowed
don't
to
know.
vote for yourself.
Again, this is my best.
But you think if I don't win this
Shopping
one,
trip.
I'm out of the game.
The next two.
Taking my notebook with me.
I might as well just leave now if I don't win this.
I'm going with Chris's. I'll go with Chris's.
Yeah.
Really?
Because we both went One-Eyed Willie and you
Yeah,
both went.
We
Yeah,
both went for
so-
Telly, so yours
Split
is
the
the only
difference.
original
Yeah.
clause
Oh,
here.
shit.
No,
All right.
but I think that choosing possibly the least expanded on character is a wise idea.
Yep.
Much the same way that when we did Big, you did the Ice Wizard.
Don't reference that because it might be on at a different time.
Oh yeah.
When you're about to reference.
We'll put Big on before this one, don't worry.
I just
Anyway, let's write sequels then.
Yeah.
Did we even choose? Wait, it's you. You win.
Yeah, you would.
Yes.
Okay,
I
so
will not.
Mr. Walsh. Mr. Walsh.
Mr. Walsh and his sexual
Yep.
torture devices.
I can see that on awnings.
Again,
Yeah.
would rather watch that than that.
Yeah, it's fine. Right, sequels.
Roomies, it's basically the concept of Friends.
Yep.
Friends.
Now.
Yep.
The Goonies squad, Chunk and Sloth as Hard
Private
Nails, Private
Investigators.
Eye.
I'd probably watch that. Mine was the Running Ice Cream Parlour, Chunk and Sloth, and the Goonies kids get captured by undead pirates. The original Goonies have to save the
We've got a
day.
Goonie up again.
Yeah.
Mine was the John Grisham stroke Stephen King. Whatever the fuck it was.
Finally, the intellectual property to marry Grisham and King. Clearly the
What
Goonies.
was King?
Yeah, I haven't got a title for it, so just call it Goonies 2.
Chris already has that title.
I've copyrighted that title. Goonies
Well,
2.
Goonies 2. Alright, it was Goonies 2, spelled T-W-O.
T-O-O.
2.
Two Goonies, two Goonies.
Yeah.
Just
Goonies.
spelling out the number doesn't make it substantially different.
Eddie?
Mine was the Seven Emeralds Final Destination. Just
Ooh.
slow murder of all
Pretty
of them.
good, that. That is pretty good.
I think, to be honest, Chris, you lost me when you didn't have a pun-based name for the name of the ice cream shop.
Oh, yeah.
I think the fact that it's called, you've got one character called Chunk, and there's an ice cream called Chunky Monkey.
Yeah.
The fact that you could have worked on that, and that would have sold it, but I'm going to have
That's
to give
all
it to
right.
Eddie.
Yeah, I'll give it
I
Eddie.
think, yeah,
Eddie.
I didn't like the characters.
I've never heard of it. Chunky Monkey ice cream. Has it got bananas in it?
Chunky Monkey, yeah.
Oh, that would.
Is it?
Yeah.
Right, okay. So Eddie's the winner there.
Did you just ask a question about ice cream over my victory? You prick. Well, thank you. I'd like to thank
Right,
you for having me.
requels. We got?
Requels.
Yep, so mine is shot-for-shot remake, but with pensioner actors.
It's good.
Yeah,
It's good.
I
good.
just think the Maggie Smith, Judi Dench, Betty White, Andrew Lansbury, Julie Walters, and now directed by Michael Bay. So,
Do you know what? Isn't that just the icing on the cake?
And yours was the
Carry on up
Yep.
the Goonies.
Carrying Up the Goonies. Yeah.
Do you know what? That is strong. You
Mine-
can't use that every time, you know.
No,
You can't just,
I brought
that's
it
just
out.
an instant win in Chris's. We've all
Mine
got
was-
one carry-on option.
Mine was just the Girlies all-female reboot.
Oh yeah.
Yours was...
Just sort of like a better version.
Oh yeah.
So-
Yours was Goonies, the special edition.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
basically Goonies a special edition.
Yeah.
So you know, like what
With the
Lu-
gorilla scene
what,
reinserted.
what Lucas attempted to do with the Star Wars films, but failed miserably at. Then
You're
this
just
would
going to
be.
put a whinnying monster behind them.
No, not
The
none of that.
octopus
No,
will
but
look
just
good
the
this
octopus
time.
will look good. The gorilla
And then
chase will
someone
be back
walks
in.
behind it and goes, ooh!
Some of this stuff will have been smoothed out,
Yeah.
and you know it'll
The
just
snack
be
and shop scene.
Yeah.
You've seen that?
the snacking shop
They
scene.
go to the shop and Troy catches up with him and he burns map. There's like a cigarette, like a cigar. And they're like, what are you doing? Chunk's eating ice cream.
Oh, that
Dave's
changes
fixing
everything.
till. It's all good.
I didn't know there was smoking in it as well. I'd enjoy
So,
it.
like, what were yours again then?
Mine was the 1980s Northeast Council Estate.
Yes.
and the Grumble Mag.
Well, you know what my vote is. Carry on.
Thanks, Chris.
Carry on with the Goonies.
Yeah.
Carry on with the
I'm
Goonies.
going to go with that.
I'm very fond of that idea.
I'd just like to see
To
it.
be honest, as soon as he said it, I was like, "There's no point in carrying on with this."
No,
So
but
carry on with the Goonies.
carry on up
is-
the Goonies.
Yeah.
Right, that's we've done it.
We've done it! Hooray!
So
Never
that's
have to talk about this film.
no, we'll pick some different ones next
Let's
time.
close our books.
If anybody watching has got any suggestions for films they'd like to see us do this, then all 50 viewers, then put some
Put them in the
comments.
comments.
We're assuming those 50 have stayed
Comments.
around for the next 2 episodes.
I'll find a link for the deleted gorilla scene as well as a bonus.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
He will put it in this box here.
No, I won't be doing any of that shit. It'll go in the comments at the bottom. I can't be asked. There's no subscribes, no like, nothing. None of that. It just ends.
Click Chris's face to subscribe.
End credits right here.
Click subscribe to subscribe if you want to. That's
Like
a-
and
it's a good-
subscribe. Whatever
That's what they say, isn't it? Yeah, well
Yes,
done.
they say like and
And
subscribe.
enable notifications. You've got to say
Right.
that.
Oh, and
Thank you and goodbye.
Establish the law. Sequel. Then give us some more.